Hurricane Milton. Congressman, good to see you. Again,
Good to see you.
Elon Musk is a cultural creature now. Again, SpaceX, which has given Starlink not just to your citizens that have been hit hard, but also North Carolina, Tesla, and he bought Twitter, now X. How important is someone like Elon Musk on your team if you're Donald Trump?
Well, Elon Musk is an absolute patriot. I mean, he spent over $44 billion to protect free speech. So I understand why it's so significant that you sign a petition about the protection of your First and Second Amendment rights. But he's also a real business owner. He's not like Mark Cuban, who's going to sit up there and pander and try and talk about how small businesses and other corporate entities are going to do better under Kamala Harris because of his hatred for Donald J. Trump, his Trump deranged syndrome. What he's also not going to tell the American people, however, is that it was President Trump who put the tax reforms in place that took corporate tax down to 21%, that increased the amount of money that could be invested into their staff and more hiring, which meant more tax revenue, which meant the largest revenue in American history at $5 trillion. And by the way, that's going to sunset in 2025, Sean, which means that why didn't he tell business owners that under Kamala Harris that the tax reform will sunset and your corporate business and small business will go from 21% to over 40% in tax rates just overnight? So he doesn't want to talk about that. And that's why Elon Musk comes out and talks about real issues, economy, national security, limited government, the things that Americans truly need and care about.
And limiting government, Congressman, and the best thing, the nicest thing I can say about Mark Cuban is that he seems to be auditioning to replace Rachel Maddow because he's got these black glasses that he's wearing now, and he's wielding a microphone. Bless his heart.
I thought he was petitioning for The View.
It's a possibility. But the Government Efficiency Commission, potentially run by Elon Musk, does that resonate with voters? Because the federal government is a leviathan that commands at least 25% of this economy. And what we've seen, especially during COVID, are people just stealing taxpayer money, and there's no accountability for it.
Well, that's exactly right, Dagan and Sean. Look, here's the bottom line. We were much better off I'm what they consider a true constitutional conservative. I believe in the 7 Articles, 27 amendments of our Constitution. A lot of people don't know that it was Woodrow Wilson in the 17th Amendment that was ratified in 1913 that stopped our U.S. senators from being elected by our state legislators. That was the checks and balance on federal and state powers. And what they did is that they got the 17th Amendment that's disenfranchised our 10th Amendment state and individual rights. Since then, you've seen nothing but a hockey stick trajectory of growth on bureaus, on departments, on agencies. I think we have to come in and we have to realize that if you want to look at the spending crisis, it starts in D.C. and it starts with eliminating things like EPA that overregulate businesses. It's in permit reforms that encourage economic growth and also making sure our private sector thrives. It's getting rid of the Department of Education and returning it back to the individual states. It's about returning power to the people, Dagan, and that's really what it's about, and that's what Elon Musk is discussing, and it does resonate. It resonates with every American voter because they want less government and more freedoms. Look, the easiest thing, and I'll end with this, is that more government does not equal better governance. And I think that that's the misconception. We need to get back to having a streamlined approach and returning it back to the state and individual liberties.
And sadly, I do know that because Woodrow Wilson is from the Commonwealth of Virginia. God help us all.
God help us all. But, Musk embeds himself, whether it was at Tesla to fix how the factory was working. But if he embeds himself right now in Pennsylvania or embeds himself in Washington to fix the spending problem, we'll be off to a great start should he get that opportunity. But I want to get your take on this because an independent panel was looking at what happened in the assassination attempt of Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. They gave a scathing report of the Secret Service. They're actually calling for a removal of all of the leadership and bringing people from the outside into the agency. It was a very tough report. The Secret Service responded to the report saying, in part, quote, "We remain fully committed to working with the administration, DHS, and Congress to address the failures that contributed to the attempted assassination of former President Trump. However, we are not waiting to act. We have already significantly improved our readiness. Secret Service is also working with Congress to increase the agency's budget so our people have the resources they need to successfully carry out the mission." Cory, is this enough? I'm sure you looked at this report. Can this fix the Secret Service to make sure their protectees are covered so they're not going to die from an assassination attempt?
Well, let's just start out with the fact that typical government trying to tell you that if there's a problem, we can spend our way out of it. This is not a budgetary issue with the Secret Service. What it is it's a failure in crisis in leadership. It's a failure in doctrine where they try and do a one-size-fits-all. You're a former president? Great. You go into slot A, you get X resources and assets. The doctrine should be based upon, here's the threat analysis we've done, here's the risk matrix in which needs to be able to mitigate those threats, and here's the asset resources required to do so. That's the way it should have been from the very beginning. But you've got things like DEI, which stands for didn't earn it, that has actually taken priority over meritocracy. So look, this is a cultural issue. This is a failure in leadership, and this is a doctrine issue. And I think the only way you fix it isn't to throw money at it. It's to actually come and eliminate leadership and change how they actually operate.
Yeah, and in a panel that you did for the Heritage Foundation, why even 20 years ago did it cost more to train a Border Patrol agent over a few months than it cost to send somebody to Harvard? So again, the root of the problem is government and the corruption of government and the failure of it. Congressman Cory Mills, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you, sir, so much.
Thank you, Dagan. Thank you, Sean.
God bless you.